It feels nice, especially when the nurses come, like, you know.
The nurses are the best. They're really the best. Sometimes
You
you
know
get a
you're doing
doctor
well
who's
when the
like,
nurses trust you with their care. Like, that's like the ultimate compliment for sure.
oh yeah, oh yeah. So you felt that the plastic surgeon was kind of steering their son or daughter away
Daughter,
from the daughter away
medicine.
from medical towards dentistry. I've heard that a lot. I've heard that a lot of times, and I've seen a lot of people that go from medicine to dentistry, like the next generation. I have seen a couple that go from dentistry to medicine though. So
Yeah.
I don't know if
I
I'd be able
think
to
it just
quantify it. Like,
depends because there's so many specialties within medicine, right? So you're going to get different quality of life for every specialty and every town that you're in because you're like either going to do your own clinic for some people like plastics or anesthesia, depending on how many anesthesiologists are in that city, your call is going to differ. If you're in a small town, it's going to suck because you're going to be one of the only anesthesiologists there. Maybe you're working with CRNAs, maybe not. For derm, they have to see a lot of patients. It's one of the most like sought after specialties. Ophtho, it just
yeah,
really depends on ortho. It depends on your quality of life, what you're looking for. Academic hospitals versus, someone like Kaiser. Yeah, it just depends.
yeah, yeah. That's that quality of life. And then back between what did you think about when you were saying beef between oral surgery and perio? What was on your mind there?
We used to get so much like stuff, and I'll hear something every now and again. Like one of my assistants was assisting OS, and then he was like a scaler. Like, dude, do you know how many distal wedges I do? I'm moving to the Malbec from Argentina. I think
Let's do it.
I told Wahan, I'm a little bit biased because before I met my husband, I had a horrible experience dating an oral surgeon. It was awful.
You
So I
did
think
tell
I'm a
me
little like,
some
yeah,
key
yeah.
bits and pieces, and that's fair. Everything you told me, I'm on your side. So
No,
you know,
everybody is literally the whole school was on my side.
as they should
But
be.
I think dental school does a really poor job of highlighting all of the like what perio really does. I don't think people understand that we're mostly doing surgery and it's kind of a glorified hygiene, and which is interesting because I've had a lot of hygienists come after me like on social media or whatever, and they're like, and I used to teach hygiene, mind you, and they're like, what's your confidence in scaling and da da da, and I'm like, do you understand what happens when we do osseous surgery? We're literally flapping and scaling and doing bone graft and regenerative procedures because sometimes SRP is just not going to work, right? And that whole like oral systemic link, I love it. That's why I love perio. But I think dental school does such a terrible job of really exposing the students as to what perio is. All you're going to do in dental school is SRPs and prophies and maybe a crown lengthening, maybe an implant if you're at a certain school and you don't have specialties, but you really don't get exposed to perio. And OS looked cool and it was like the bros and like it was just that like specialty. And then for some dental students, yeah, maybe they did want to do medicine, and because you have that option in OS and because you're doing hospital rotations, I think it can get glorified a little bit, but because there's some overlap and overlay. Can you do a lateral sinus window? Of course. Can I? Sure. Can we do implants? Yeah, like 1000%. Can I do a Lafort? No. Are you going to do a soft tissue graft? No. So there's some, what are those circles? The
Venn diagram, yeah, the Venn diagram. Where it's
So
like,
there's some
yeah, yeah.
overlap within our specialties, and then there's some things that we just were like, no, you should go see. Like I'm doing a biopsy tomorrow. You also do biopsies. There's some biopsies I'm not going to touch, But I think having a good relationship with a good oral surgeon and a good perio in whatever town you're practicing, it's so crucial and it's so key. My OS moved like 40 minutes away. There's a oral surgeon that I work with that my husband also works with. He's been practicing for a long time as well.
Yeah.
I just saw him last week at a CE. The nicest guy, does hospital, does trauma. All the anesthesiologists are like, he added another case. I'm like, you guys don't understand. Not a lot of OS are going to do trauma. They're not going to do these cases. They're not going to go into the hospital.
It's true.
I'm obsessed with this guy. So awesome. But very, very hard worker, very much married to the profession. So when he retires, we'll definitely, I don't know. We're going to have to refer out to like LA. I don't know. Because he's really doing a lot of these cases that not a lot of people want to do.
Right. right?
But yeah,
And
I do
we
feel like
know,
there's a little bit of beef unnecessarily.
and we know why they don't want to do them, because the hospitals, at least here in the area I'm in, their hospitals aren't paying surgeons. They're, in fact, on
No,
Long Island, they don't pay surgeons to take call at all. So like,
no,
why should I do free work? Like through residency, we basically did free work, a lot of free
right.
work, because you make your salary in a week or two, and the rest of the year's free work. And then on top of that, yeah, to do the surgeries, they say, oh, well, you could bill out to your insurance company, but the insurance company is going to pay for surgery twice because they're paying the hospital for it. So then you have to bill the patient. You have to bill the patient directly, and the patient's like, "What? Why am I paying for this? My insurance just covered it." And you're like, "Yeah, that covered the hospital, but I did the
Right.
surgery." You know, and they're like, "It's not fair. It's not fair on the patients. It's not
No.
supportive to providers." And so, you know, if you want a future of healthcare where certain surgeons aren't covering trauma call, aren't covering call at all, aren't doing any work in the hospitals, this is the direction it's going in. And they're seeing that. That's why there's such these big hospital conglomerates buying up all the outpatient offices and everything, because now it's
Right.
the doctors have nowhere to go. But it's very sad. The one thing I would say, especially at Stony Brook, very small school out here. Actually, and I'll tell you about NYU in a second. We were much more exposed to perio than to oral surgery. I would say oral surgery kind of had a separate wing that was always under construction. They were given like the bottom of the bottom of the bat with like the thing. And I don't even think they're at Stony Brook right now very much, but perio is. And it's great. So you get a lot of, most
Yeah.
of the courses are taught by perio. So it was very good there. And now moving to NYU, I can't tell you how many, over the years, I can't tell you how many students I talked to, and they're like, oh, you got oral surgery? You guys do implants? No way. Because
Really.
99.9% of the implants in the dental school at NYU, 400 student classes, they all go to perio. It's like they
Mhm.
have to get triaged by perio. The only implants that end up going to oral surgery, and it's really hard to like triage implants and everything, and then by the time your rotation ends in oral surgery, it's another oral surgery resident that comes in, and it's like it's not set up to do implants over there. But anyway, long story short is there's so many students that don't even realize oral surgery do implants, which is a big part of both of our specialties, right?
Right.
And just everything goes to perio. So at NYU, I think they get a pretty good perio exposure, but in oral surgery, they just think we do sedations, implants. I'm sorry, sedations, wisdom, because every wisdom tooth pretty much goes to oral surgery unless it's erupted. So every impacted one goes to oral surgery. But it's like sedations, wisdom teeth, and we got to send you to the hospital to get orthodontic surgery. That's all they think. NYU is like, here's the scary part. I think NYU is way ahead of the game academically, just
Yeah.
because everything in medicine is driven by insurance. Dentistry is following the trajectory of the corporations, which is hospitals on the medical side, DSOs on the dental side, and it's driven by insurance reimbursement rates, and it's forcing these corporations to box everyone into groups. And I think NYU is actually ahead of the curve with this boxing into little niches, right? Predicated on the insurance reimbursement rates. I don't think it's necessarily better for dentistry, though. You know,
Right.
I'm curious what you think with that, because you're a private practice owner. You're doing everything on your two shoulders.
For insurance reimbursement or what part?
Just everything. I mean, because you did dental school, then you went into a specialty, and now you're running your own private practice. You have your experiences in this group and that group. You teach. What are your thoughts on like the trend, and then how dental schools fit into that box, and or they put everything into boxes? Does that make sense?
Yeah, like as far as insurance goes, we were taught nothing. We had no idea where I went to dental school. We had like a whole billing department. And so we were expected to treatment plan our triaging, let's say for implants. Everybody had to do it because Pros did implants,
Mm-hmm.
implant department did implants, Perio did implants, OS did implants, endo was doing implants. So we would all triage, and at that time dental students were not. I don't know if they are now, but you have all these specialties within a really big school. At least, for Loma Linda, OS is really well known because of Phil Boyne and all his research with like bone grafting and all that. And so that same with implant, like there's a lot of really strong faculty there, but we all triaged together and hopefully you got to stay with that patient. It was really how much work you put into getting the implants, getting the all on four cases from Pros. They sometimes could pick. I was chief for a long time, so I had a little bit of say so with like who would get what cases and whatnot. So as far as that went, it was pretty fair. I heard a lot has changed, but it again depends on the administration and who's there at that time, right?
Yeah.
For insurance, we had no idea. I had no clue. We would treatment plan everything, but then after that, I don't know, what would happen. We would just have to try to schedule our patients. We had a scheduling coordinator, but also, again, it's up to you trying to get those patients and all that. On the insurance side, I do accept insurances. We're moving towards being out of network. It's my 4th year. So I feel like, okay, we're stable enough now. I'm good. Sometimes it's so frustrating, and then I look at like the time, the energy that we're spending, and the insurance loses the claim or they never got it or da. We're so good when it comes to insurances. We write the reference number, the time, the agent's name, and sometimes you're like, is this even a person? Cherry? Is your name really Cherry? Like, no.
Cherry?
Yeah, just the weirdest names, and you're like, no. Sunsets.
Is it the insurance or the strip club?
The agent, the insurance agent.
Oh yeah,
because we collect our name
agent.
as well, right? And the reference number when we're recording for our records.
Cherry, okay.
Cherry, Sunset, and you're like, no, this can't be real. Or we'll say like, we have the call recorded, go back and listen, and they're like, oh, we lost the recording. I'm like, that's fine, I'll send it to you, but not everybody's going to be that like aggressive and assertive when it comes to that. A lot of docs are just like, I don't want to deal with the business side. I don't want to deal with the administration. I just want to do the work, which is everybody's dream. But unfortunately, living in San Diego, patients have a lot of options here. There's over 50 periodontists. The last time I counted, there's probably close to 100 perios. There's probably a lot more oral surgeons out here because they're more in groups. Perios are kind of independent. There's not really like a big perio group practice out here. But yeah, dealing with that, it's tough because they're not reimbursing, but at least in my area, patients are getting a lot more dental savvy. And so they're understanding, like, we're doing our best. The doctor's not collecting all this money. It's not directly going into my pocket. It's essentially what insurance is doing is they're saying, oh, you think you should bill this amount? No, it really should be this much. And so they're downgrading our fee. Everything. And then the patient's responsible for a certain amount. And then they'll say, yeah, we'll cover this, but not if you do it on the same day of this. Who's going to do surgery on a different day because the code's not going to be covered? And these aren't healthcare providers that are denying the claims. They're insurance agents that have no medical dental school training. They're just following what they're told. Yeah, so it's really frustrating, but the way I explain it to my patients is I say, 40 years ago, $1,000 was a lot of money. This was 40 years ago. They haven't updated their claims. This is
it's still $1,000.
Yeah, and they're like, oh my gosh. So they're understanding in the area that I'm in. I practice in other areas where patients were really insurance heavy and forward, like, is my insurance going to cover it? Because some patients think like insurance should cover 100% of everything, right? But that's not true at all.
And I totally understand that mentality, but it's like they're down, and it's exactly what you said. They're taking what our surgery costs, whatever the procedures, dentistry, fillings, whatever. They're taking what it costs to do this work. We did dental school, we did education, we did all these years of our life sacrificed towards the education, the learning, how to treat patients, and they're downgrading it to something from the 1970s, 80s, or 90s. Like what you're downgrading my work in 2020. We had inflation. Like, this has happened. Everything goes up. But why are you downgrading? Let me go grab the Malbec. Real quick. But this is what's going on. And the patients don't understand. Obviously, they didn't go to dental school. They didn't see the history of the trends. But then the profession suffers for it, right? We're not going to deny care to a patient.
No, but then that's where you get the private equity groups where you have DSOs that are owned by investors. It's not a dentist that owns majority of the company. I don't care what any DSO says. It's usually 49% is what the dentist is going to own. It's always below 50. So sure, you might have a better quality of life. You might not have to do like a staffing agency or something, right? Is the idea or what they sell you on. But I would say majority of the time, no, the dentist is still making a lot of the decisions. You have autonomy, but you're at the like beck and call of some investor, and that it just, I don't know. Right. For me, that feels so. I know people,
they know money really well, but they didn't take an oath. They didn't take an oath for ethics when they treat patients. And then on top of that, I haven't heard of any DSOs giving, except for one endodontist that gets almost 50%. All the DSOs, the highest I heard of, like my percentage is 40%.
Yeah.
Unless you sold out your 4 practice oral surgery group to the DSO and you get 45. 40, not like that's, it's so rare to find these instances. And the DSOs don't want that. They want the surgeons to get lower percentage, the dentists to get lower percentage.
Yeah, I've seen as low as 21. Yeah. How are you doing? You're like, I'm good. Do you want to sit? He's good. He's grabbing the Malbec. We're on our last one. It wasn't bad. Like, it didn't taste like old lady, you know, but, well, we're able to try.
Yes.
A little bit.
It's right behind me the entire time. All right. This is the Malbec. This was one, I don't even know. Orihuela, 1884.
Okay.
Looked beautiful. The guy recommended, he's like, oh, this is organic. And I am a sucker for organic, for electric vehicle, like stuff like that. So
Same.
like,
It's
let's
actually really hard to get the organic labels. So sometimes, like for whoever's following on the wine tasting, and look for made with organic grapes. It's really hard for vineyards to get like organic on the label. I think a lot of politics on that. Cool. What is it? Move it
There
down.
it is. Made
Okay,
with
cool.
organic grapes.
Yeah,
Exactly what you said.
Yeah, it's hard for them to be like organic certified.
You know how this
Okay.
is? It's got the little naked baby on the emblem right there. So that's how
Okay.
you know
it's definitely
Sure.
organic. No.
A good wine. I have Adeland Mendoza High Altitude. It's a Malbec, and then the Strangely Natural Regions of Argentina. I don't know if Strangely Natural is close to organic, but I would say maybe so. Has an interesting label, flying fish, and then some kind of horse with like a salmon head.
I want to see.
Yeah, let me see the label. Horse with the salmon head.
Yeah, they didn't have that when I just stopped by the liquor store.
I've
So-
seen it. I got this one from Total Wine. This one has 90 points. By the way, I have no clue what the point system is. I tried looking it up before. I did a lot of research before the pod, but I couldn't figure out the point system. But
Isn't
you
that
wanted
like,
a Argentinian Malbec, and I said that's very dark for a Thursday. It feels very depressing.
isn't the point system? Isn't that like Wine Spectator or Wine Enthusiast? It's one of those two. Or what's his name? James.
This one's jamessuckling.com.
James Suckling. Yeah. Okay. So it's James Suckling. He's doing his own ratings. He's a very for anyone's listening. He's a very famous, well-known, very high followed Instagram account. He's a wine guy.
Cool.
I feel like he's very pretentious. Have you ever watched some of his videos?
No, but I should. I'm all for it. Like, my goal for the wine shop is to be like the Gordon Ramsay of wines. Like, this tastes like your grandmother's sock. Like, this tastes like an old shoe. Like, this tastes like you licked a doorknob.
Ew.
Well, you know, I mean, it's better than butter. This is buttery. Like, strawberry berry. Everybody says that.
You're right. Everyone does say that. And then you have the bread and butter brand, so it can like kind of get in the mix there.
Yeah.
I have 5 wine bottles around me right now. I'm kind of losing track of where I'm going with these. So
I was-
where were we? Oh yeah, we gotta try. By the way, so just for listeners, and I know you know, Argentina has an excellent blend of these Malbecs. For whatever reason, the Malbecs coming out of Argentina are just spectacular. My favorite one is Alamos. It's a very affordable. It's like $13. Very affordable. Should be on your countertop. Of course, not for you, for listeners. And their Malbec, I just think, is off the charts. You can't beat it for that price. But what are your thoughts on Malbec in general? Right? Would you agree? Argentina and Chile.
Yeah. Chilean Malbecs are a little too, like, I feel like they should be chilled before drinking, which I also kind of feel like every once in a while I'll put an ice cube in my wine to, like, mellow out the temperature, which I know, like, people are going to roll their eyes.
When no one's
But
looking.
yeah, but every once in a while I just need it to kind of, like, level out for a bit. I feel like that with, like, Chilean Malbecs. For Argentinians, it depends. I don't drink Malbec often. I have to feel, like, in the mood. It's just a moody wine. Like, it just feels dark and heavy. Not peppery. It's just a depressing wine. I don't know how else to describe it. It's so depressing.
Which one's depressing?
Malbecs.
You think
I
so?
mean,
Oh my god!
yeah.
I gotta say, I love this.
It's
We have
such a
different palates, I guess.
Yeah. So my best friend and I both love red wine. She likes more of that, like, peppery leather, like very heavy body reds. I like not more fruit forward, berry cherry. I hate that. But I love a red blend. Which one did you? Oh, we talked about bringing on the what is it? The Bogle.
Yeah, Bogle Red Blend.
Such a basic.
So basic, but might be. I think it's by far my number one. I think Alamos, Bogle. I told you, Columbia Crest.
Yeah.
These are just great. Like anyone could afford these things. Throw it on the countertop. You need something that one night, or even better, go into the Christmas party, the New Year's Eve, like the friend get together.
Yes.
Throw it in a little wine bag, bring it over. Everyone's gonna be happy, you know.
Yeah. What's your favorite red?
I mean, I generally like Cabernet Sauvignons, but I gotta say the mixed red by Bogle, I think it's just, you could drink it with almost anything. It's like you could finish a workout and chug that thing.
It's like the decoy, right? So it's like a social wine. Yeah. I'm gonna sound really California right now, but that's fine. My favorite red, it's a red blend from Valle de Guadalupe. You guys should go. I highly recommend the wines there. The food, the service, phenomenal. It's a great travel spot. Probably have to drive from Tijuana. I can drive from San Diego. I've only been once. My husband took me probably like 3 years ago for my birthday, because my favorite red wine is a red blend from Valle. It's called Canto de Luna. It's really hard to get in the US. There was one restaurant that would sell it during COVID. I haven't been able to find a bottle since. I think I have to go to, they have it. I don't like rosés, especially sparkling rosé. Just like move it away from me.
Hot, like 99-degree days?
No. Maybe a still every once in a while. But they have, it's an organic winery. It's like a micro winery. And this particular wine, not to sound too California, they harvest it according to the phases of the moon. So they harvest the grapes at night. And the wine label, it's like a finger like touching a little pond, and it's organic and just like my ultimate favorite.
I've seen this. Wait. I gotta look this up.
The blue Canto de Luna. And then the winery's Finca de la Carrodilla, I think.
Inca de
La Carrodilla, I think.
Finca de la Caro.
While you do that, I'm going to have Murph look up how much this bottle will cost, because I think it's like $19.
And you said Guado de Luna?
Canto, Canto.
And it was a red blend, you said?
It's a red blend.
That came up with some rap songs? Okay. Definitely not that. Red blend. Let's see if this comes up. Finca la Carrodilla Canto de Luna. Red. Yeah, this is it. Wait. Okay, I'm sharing it. This is it.
Yeah.
Boom.
My favorite wine.
This is it. Oh, man. I got to order this. $30 in stock. Vino.
Yeah.
33 to 36. Not bad.
It's not bad. And it just, it's organic.
It ranges between 13 to 20.
See? Okay, so I had Murph look up my Malbec because I said this tastes like $19, and Murph said it ranges from $13 to $20. So I was within.
You're in there. You're in that range.
I think mine just has too much acidity.
Yeah, I love the Malbecs. I wish you liked it a little more.
I can feel the GERD. I like some, but I have to be in a mood, like a not well mood either. Like not a bad mood, but.
Let's do another top. So also, wait, what happened to? We were gonna have someone else on the episode with wine tasting. No, remember, like we were talking about this. Now this is several months ago, right after we had our part 1, part 2, because technically this is part 3, right? We were gonna have someone on that I think I forget the name.
Yeah. One of my patients, now patients, but he's a level 2 som in town, so yeah,
that's right. Yes,
loves talking about. He really turned me on to Albariño wines. He has his own grapes that he's like harvesting here in California, which is tough because we got a lot of critters and whatnot that try to get to the grapes, you know. That's a whole other thing. There's also a couple of dentists who have their like SOM license or whatever certificate, I guess. Yeah, there's a few, but we were chatting about having my patient come on, which I really want to get him on. He just loves the whole process. He'll travel anywhere, like across the world, for a good wine tasting.
So he would definitely would love to come. What if we said, hey, do you want to set us up with 3 to 5 bottles, and we go through 1 glass of each, and we chat about them?
Yeah.
Would you want to do that sometime?
He would love it. If I didn't find the wines at Total Wine, there's a wine shop in kind of on my way home. And him and his group of buddies every Thursday, they meet up there. And it was, I think, when my best friend was coming into town, because I don't like the wines that she likes. I don't like that peppery, like charcoaly flavor. And he happened to be there when I was there. So he helped me pick out some bottles that she would like, because it was her birthday too.
What a coincidence.
Yes, I think he would love to do this.
Okay, then what are your thoughts on port wine? Probably not, right?
No.
Too
Why?
thick. Yeah, that's like oil. That's like diesel, I feel like. For you.
The last time I've had a port wine was in my wine tasting class in college.
And so you did not like the port wine. It's kind of like syrup, you know?
Do you? Yeah.
I do like it. Like a little nightcap, end of the night, you know, right after dinner, after a nice juicy steak.
Can you explain to people what port wine is for those that don't know? Because it usually doesn't come in the menu. It's on the dessert menu.
Exactly. It comes in a little tiny fancy glass, a cute little, I would say, so you can actually see. It's probably a little bit bigger than the cork, I would say. It's this cute little tiny glass, very fancy. And it's a very dense, heavy wine, red, very closely similar to tasting like maple syrup kind of thing. It's like a syrup. And the alcohol percentage is, I would say, probably around like 40% alcohol. But you don't taste any of it. It's very, very high in the percentage. The best port wine I ever had, which is my first port wine I ever had, to be fair. It was at Jolo Winery. It's in North Carolina. Jolo Winery. The winery owner and winemaker is his name. They call him JW, and just a brilliant guy. Worked for JP Morgan, quit business, bought a winery, bought the land, opened it, and just completely switched from business into he lives, breathes, and works on the wine. Like, this is all that he does. The name of it is Jolo for Logan and something. I forget what the JO is, but it's a family-owned winery, which you and we both love. And so that's where I learned about port, and they had the best one I ever had. So that's a little port wine spiel.
That sounds good. I would be on the floor after 40%.
But it's just like a little sip, like a little nightcap.
Yeah, that's
literally
probably, I didn't know that. I thought it, because it's so rich, I thought that's why they bring it out in like the tiny little thing. But no, apparently it's because the alcohol content is like...
Oh, I think because
like
it's rich. Yeah.
Vodka.
No, I literally think that exactly what you said. I think it's because you sip it. I don't know. Like, I'm not like a wine expert or anything, but I think it's because it's like a little sip, just because it's so strong. Not even the alcohol, but because the taste is so strong, like a nice little sweet dessert to end off the night. So
how did you get into your like other Instagram page? If like you like wines, right? But how did you get that started, and then how'd that come about?
In 2018, created my buddy and I, we created Students of Dentistry. It was my D1 year of dental school. We created Students of Dentistry, and then from there, like later that year, we created Elite Dentists and Top Dental Practices, and then actually some other ones in the veterinary and medicine spaces. And then a couple of months after that, I was like, what if we got into wineries, breweries, and cafes to see how this... Because this is when Instagram was king. Like, Instagram was the peak. It was peaking. This, and 2018, that's 2 years before COVID. That's 2 years before TikTok really kind of took off. And videos, the short form reels that take up the longitudinal, like they not horizontal, but longitudinal screens. Right. And that's when the video really kind of took off. Vine was first, but Vine kind of fell off, interestingly enough. And then TikTok really took off. But I created Top Wineries, and my parents helped me run with like top breweries and top cafes, but that kind of faded off. And my buddy runs the Top Dental Practices one right now, and I do Students of Dentistry and Elite Dentists to keep those going. I get up 2 hours early before, like I went into every day in residency and stuff to make sure I get all the posts up and respond to DMs and accept collaborations now. That was the last year and a half. But Top Wineries just came because I was like, I would love to learn more. I feel like wineries are classy, There's so much history behind them. They've been going on for thousands of years. The wineries are hundreds of years. But yeah, it's just it's classy, it's delicious. I love the growing process behind the vines. Right. How do you get acidity, bitter? How do you get, obviously dry grapes, but also the dry soil that it grows in versus rocky soil. A lot of them grow on mountains and hills. Right. So I find all this stuff fascinating. I do not know enough about it. But
the altitude, like there's so much to learn. I was listening to a podcast this morning, and it was One of the podcast hosts is my husband's attending from anesthesia residency, and then the other one's another anesthesiologist. So two female anesthesiologists. One of them has her own like wine company, which I don't want to go that far. I feel like that's too much work for me. But she's like super entrepreneurial, and they were talking about from start to finish, like how to really tee yourself up for medical school. And I think it's the same for dentistry, medicine, veterinary, right? Like what to do, finding good study habits, finding a good study partner, going to office hours, all these things, shadowing what extracurriculars,
exactly.
you're going to do, finding your passion and all that. And actually, both were on Real Housewives. My husband used to give me such a hard time, I guess, for watching reality TV, but I turn my brain off and I can just watch someone else's drama and just my soul leaves my body. Like I love it. And he was like, I don't think it's healthy. Like all these people arguing. And I was like, no, it's healthy for me. And he was walking by one day and he was like, is that Nicole? And I'm like, well, you know her. And he was like, that's Nicole. And I was like, and so he sits down and he starts watching, and it was Real Housewives of Miami because that's where he did his residency. So his attending, yeah. So his attending,
in Miami, yeah.
Yeah. So she was there, but they have a really good podcast, and they were chatting about that, and they were talking about should you major in a bio major, biology, biochemistry, chemistry, what have you, or something different. And one of the hosts, she works on the admissions committee, and she was like, I'm always intrigued by somebody who has a different major. You just have to also keep in mind that you have to take all the prerequisites. So it's harder, right? Yeah. It might take you longer to finish with that. So when I was in college, I went to an agricultural forward-focused school.
That's right. In New Mexico, yeah. That's right.
Did you? I had the best electives, like theater.
What were they?
Theater was one. Bird watching was another one. I love bird watching.
No
to this
way.
Day. I love bird watching. An art class, of course. But then my minor, I got a biochem minor. It just kind of came with the degree a little bit. It just came with it. And then I studied fashion too. And I was able to do a fashion minor while I was in school because we had a fashion school, which fashion is actually really tough. People think it's like, oh, I like clothes and like da-da-da. Sure, you learn about trends, but the actual process, the make of the clothing, and like there's a real craft to it, right? So that was really cool for me. And I do think it made me a better surgeon because we had to do a lot of sewing and textiles and work with your hands a lot, which I think in dentistry, anything that you can find that where you're working with your hands, that's key. So I really thought when I was doing my like interview round and tour that everybody was going to be like, oh, you studied fashion. No one cared. What they cared about was that I took wine tasting as an elective. So that's was one of my...
Nothing about fashion. Wow. Really?
They didn't care. They were like, tell me about wine tasting class. And then I was like, and remember like Student Doc Network, I wouldn't go on there and because, you know, it could be kind of toxic. People are like, I have a 4.8 GPA and I scored like, but on the D18, you're like, no, you didn't.
Those are the only people posting, right? They have like 4.12.
Yeah. So, but I would go on before my interview so I could get a lay of the campus, if it's a walking tour, you know, if somebody's a tougher like interviewer or whatever. And every single time, there was a professor from Colorado. I guess he used to ask you, what's the last book you read? I didn't read a book. I didn't have time. The last book I read at that time was Twilight. I wasn't going to tell him that I just finished the Twilight novel series. I was, like typical early 20-year-old. But everyone asked me about wine tasting. They're like,
I love that.
How is the class?
You know how it's so interesting because whether it's bird watching or wine tasting, the interviews, and I get this literally on like I do TikTok lives, and literally every single TikTok live, I've done 72 as of yesterday. Every other one or every one, they always ask, give me interview tips. And I'm like, guys, the interview is not a multiple choice exam. It's a conversation. You need to find that common ground. So on my oral surgery interviews of 14, 15 interviews, 8 of them asked me about playing the violin. So similar to someone asking about, it's so far away from dentistry, medicine, law, playing the instrument, wine tasting, alcohol. Sometimes like a lot of people with all getting so far intertwined with academics, they think like alcohol, bad. No. Wine tasting is actually pretty awesome. If you could find that one wine that you love, you rave about, So I couldn't agree more. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I learned how to pair wine in college. Like they would bring out the food. We would have different local restaurants that were like given their highlight, and they would bring out whatever meal, and then they would show us like the different wines, and then they would teach us how to like pair the wine and everything. And then we learned about the winemaking process, and like you said, the soils and all the different regions, the climates, and all that. And then also price point. Just because a wine is expensive doesn't mean it tastes good, and that's okay. You don't have to like it. Everybody's gonna have a different palate, right?
Right.
So we learned about that. For final, everybody pretty much got an A. It was Friday nights, I think, like my last year in college. Everybody pretty much got an A except for the blind wine tasting. So you had like 4 different wines, and you had a little card, and you wrote down what you thought it was. I think like bonus for the region or whatever. And I got an A plus. So everybody's like, that was the question. How'd you get an A plus on wine tasting? But my story is that I was leaving with I was in a sorority. So I was leaving with like it was other gals from different sororities, different fraternities. We're all leaving. And one of the guys was like, what'd you put for number 4? I put a Chardonnay. And I was like, Tim, it was a red. So Tim did not get an A plus.
Was Tim blind? Was like it was a blind testing, but was he?
You know, yeah.
Come on, Tim.
Come
Jesus.
on. He's an engineer. He needs.
Oh, engineering. Yeah. The math equations just didn't calculus.
Close friend
solve
to this day, like one of my childhood friends, but I'll never let him live it down. I'm like, it was a red, and obviously my tone is really like.
Was that the final?
Yeah, that was that guy.
God,
this was
you
the
couldn't
final.
figure out Chardonnay for the entire semester?
This was the final. Yeah, exactly. My husband had me do a blind wine tasting at home, so he like got different wines, but I was literally blindfolded. This one, you could see the colors, so you can kind of guess too, right, by the hues and the colors of different wines. But he had me completely blindfolded, and I already can't smell, so I don't know. But he wasn't only guessing me on the wine, he wanted me to guess the region. I was like, you're a psycho. I can't remember if this was Christmas or Thanksgiving.
That's tough.
It was a fun day night. I was really close. We had a Sauv Blanc, which most of them are going to be from like Marlborough, right? New Zealand. Okay. Like, yeah. There's a rosé and then another. But most wines come from certain regions. So if I could figure it out, I was just guessing on the region. But yeah.
Right. So like in New York, I would say probably the better ones are from the Finger Lakes region. California, okay. I mean, it could be all over the place. And then I was saying, I mean, you maybe disagree, but I was saying like Malbec's usually Argentina, Chile. You were talking about New Zealand too. So it's absolutely true. Oh man. But then once you get to Europe, it's like France, Portugal has excellent wine though. So it's like you can't count them out. I don't know. It's so
Spain. When I went to Spain, I'm like, this wine is really good. It was so light. But I think because the drinking culture is different in like European countries, right, versus like here.
Yeah. Rioja. Is Rioja Spain or is that
I think
RIOJ?
Yeah, no, I know their Malbec's actually pretty good. I think the label is blue. Their Malbec's pretty good. So I think we should do episode 2 following up.
Yeah, 100%. So, well, technically, because we did one on my podcast, your podcast. Today's 3, right? Technically, today's like part 3, right?
Yeah, I'm like kind of 4 because remember I forgot to hit record.
You did. We missed out on a lot of good content, but that's okay. That's okay. I made sure we can pick it back today. Up. And then the other thing. Oh, would you want to do one with the anesthesiologists that are also wine intertwined? And then we could also go into like admissions, things that people look for, conversations on the interview. We could talk about wine. We could also talk about medicine versus dentistry. Like
Dr. Yoon, yes.
Just a thought.
Ironically, his daughter is in dental school. So I think there's something with
No way.
Yeah.
That might be okay.
It's a topic.
Hey, whatever you want to do.
It's a topic. I think there's quite a few physicians that are like, I think dentistry is a better lifestyle. I think there's a lot of dentists that are like, medicine can be a better lifestyle. It just depends, I think.
It depends for sure.
But yeah, Dr. Yoon would be very down. Derek would also, he's dying for it too, for sure.
Sweet. Let's do it. So that'll be part 4. And then maybe part 5. I don't mean to get ahead of ourselves. Maybe like a year or so. We talk about, I'm curious about the private practice ownership. For example, going into private practice, how do you buy a space, what spaces to look for? Because we touched on this on the last
Mm-hmm.
episode together. And you are, first of all, you're a boss. You know exactly
Thanks.
what you're looking for, why. And I think you have some excellent insight from that dimension, from that perspective on like branching out, starting, this is your property, this is your land, and then building up from there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah,
And I
I would
think,
love that. And then I think that'll be perfect timing because then you're going to get your feet wet with private practice world, which is so different than residence.
yeah, I'll have a year under my belt. In a year from 2 weeks from now, I'll have a year under my belt. And then we
Yeah.
can actually talk about that stuff from, everything, the marketing, the business, the brick and mortar. And
Right.
oh,
The
it'll be exciting.
loan, I'm due for all my re-credentialing right now, and all the bills are coming in. Like all the insurances that you need, all the fun stuff that nobody teaches you in dental school that is actually so important.
Yeah. And then I was shocked when you told me that the loan, whatever it was, I thought it was going to be like a gajillion dollars. And you were saying it was like 750 or.
For my practice,
Yeah. Yeah.
400.
Every time you say that, I'm shocked. It's like,
400.
I didn't know
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
My
Yeah.
interest
So
is like a little less than 3%, not quite 3%. Yeah, it's so low.
outstanding. So like, how to find that? How do you? Yeah. Just so that'll be
What
in
I
like a year or
bought,
so.
all the
You got to do that.
equipment. I did a girl math thing on Instagram where I'm like, this is how much the CBCT costs. This is how much the 3D printer costs. Guess how many? And then I broke it down by all the procedures I've done and if it's paid itself yet or not. And I'm in my 4th year. So yeah, that'll be a good 4th episode for sure. Fifth.
Did you wait? You put up a post doing that recently?
I did on my stories. I didn't do a like post or reel, but I should. That's a good idea.
Yeah. Yeah. You should, and I'll repost it. Absolutely.
Okay.
Let's do it.
All right, friend. It was good to see you. Congrats on everything. Finishing.
Oh, thank you.
Engagement, traveling.
It's been exciting, and likewise you too. Likewise you
Thank
too. You're 4 years down, right? So
4 years down. Yes. Life looks a lot different now. Now you're like, wow, okay, like more stable.
the real world begins, right? So
Yeah.
thanks
All
for
right.
coming on today. We'll
Of
chat
course.
soon.
It was good to see you. We'll chat soon.
All right. Have a good night.
You too. Bye.